Good morning and welcome to another video with a guy and his projects. Today we're working on my wife's 2006 Chrysler Town and Country. This job should be the same for both the Chrysler and the Dodge Caravan, I believe. They're pretty much the exact same van. We are doing the front brakes and rotors today. Just a simple, regular, routine job. Should be done anytime they're either wearing out or go bad in some other way. These ones, I believe the pads are still pretty thick, but the rotors are trashed. This van came from somewhere where they had snow and salt, and either way, the rotors are shot. They're super grooved and rough and nasty, and I'm imagining somebody replaced the pads for them and didn't turn the rotors or replace the rotors. That's okay, that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to replace the rotors, we're going to replace the pads, and we're just going to make it all new. We're going to clean up the calipers. I'm assuming they're in pretty bad shape as well, and if they start sticking or getting corroded, they start getting nasty, they'll stop compressing properly and cause issues as well, uneven wear, squeal, squeaks. So that's where we're at. That's what we're going to do. We're using, and I'll link these down below, bought them off Amazon, not sponsored, bought it with my own money, not helped out in any way. We're using these power stops for no particular reason other than the price was right. I've never used power stop before, but it's a kit. You buy a front kit and a rear kit. I'm sure you can buy the whole kit too. I'll link the front and rears just like I bought. Comes with courtesy grease, which we're not going to use because, well, I got my own grease. It comes with your brake pads. Let's see, and these are the Evolution Plus is what I'm using. They're ceramics. It's got your little kit with all your fittings and whatever all that stuff is. I honestly don't know. And then of course you got your pads. And then of course you got more bubble wrap for the kids to play with. And you got one rotor, two rotors. Keep in mind, I am not a mechanic, I'm not a professional, I am not certified in any way to work on my vehicle or anybody else's vehicle. I don't do this for money, I don't do this for other people unless I know them, because I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a professional, I have no training. This is just me being a guy that figures crap out. I watched my dad change brakes on his cars my whole life, he never had issues. That's not to say that if you do yours, you won't have an issue, okay? Proceed at your own risk. This is just how I'm doing it, yeah, it works out for me. Doesn't mean it works out for you. Let's do it.
Always keeping safety in mind, chock those tires anytime you're getting under, beneath, below, or around a vehicle you're working on. You don't want it to roll. Pop that hubcap, break loose those lug nuts, and pull up your pants like you just don't care. Jack the van up. Now, I go way higher than I need to, simply so I can sit on a stool and work, because I'm smart like that. Remove your lug nuts, remove the tire. Next, this is an H7 Allen head on a ratchet. Use whatever you gotta use. This is what I'm using. There's two bolts holding the caliper to the caliper bracket, and you're gonna remove those. They're kind of sleeve style bolts. You'll see in a few moments. You can pull them all the way out. I didn't realize they're just kind of pressure set in once they're unthreaded, and you can just grab them and pull them out. I left them in there right now, but you'll see I remove them in a minute just to get them out of my way. This is a 5-inch C-clamp. We're just putting it on the outer brake pad and the outside of the caliper and compressing that piston inside. You can also use a screwdriver trick if you want to see that. There's some videos on YouTube, not mine, but they'll show you how to do that. For me, I just use a C-clamp. Once you get that piston compressed, this is where like I said, I didn't realize that they were just kind of sitting in there, and I tried to unbolt that a little bit more. You'll see once you do get those bolts out, the caliper will still not remove until you get rid of this retaining clip. This is an insanely strong retaining clip, but just break it loose like that. I actually played with it for a couple minutes before I got that far, but you know, whatever. Alright, so those are the bolts I said to go ahead and remove, and once those are out of your way, your caliper should just slide right off, give or take. If you need to use a little rubber mallet, go for it. Just don't let go of it because you do not want this to drop and hang on your rubber brake line. So here is your outside pad. It stays in the bracket. You can go ahead and remove that. Yeah, there's that. Like I said, the pads were still thick-ish. They just weren't great, and the rotors are all messed up. They're all grooved and nasty. This was the caliper side brake pad, a lot thinner, which tells me you might have a little sticking issue. You can see on this outside one, it almost looks like the pad is separated from the bracket, the metal retainer, which is pretty sketchy. I've never seen them look like that. I'm not a brake expert or mechanic, but it looks sketchy. So we're replacing them. All good. Get that out of here, and let's move on. So this is a 21mm wrench. You'll probably want a good breaker bar because these are supposed to be torqued to 100 foot-pounds, and if they've been seized on there beyond that, then they'll be a little tight. So go ahead and pop that loose. This is the bolt holding the bracket that holds the caliper. So the caliper holding bracket thing, technical term, no idea. So you have 2 bolts on this as well. You got one upper and one lower. You can't miss them. They're the only things back there. There's the bottom one, and here's the top one. I know you guys are looking kind of down at this. This is kind of different, but I needed somewhere to mount my camera, and that's where you guys ended up. So, all right, that's the bracket, and it is corroded and rusty. We'll clean it up in a minute. Now that's free, you should be able to pull out your rotor. You may have to use a mallet and bang that loose as well. I got lucky. We're just using a soapy solution to clean this up. Use whatever you want to use. These little rubber inserts on the caliper, which is where those 2 sleeved bolts were, you can just pull those out. You want to pull them out backwards, not into the caliper. You want to pull them out away from the caliper. It looks counterintuitive, but it actually works out pretty good. I just use some needle nose pliers. Use what you got. Here I'm just using a plumber's brush, just like they use on copper to clean out the inside. It was the perfect size, and yeah, there was a lot of rust in there. I cleaned it to the best of my ability that my patience had to offer. Before you go any further, remove your brake fluid cap and suction out some of the brake fluid. You can use a turkey baster, a suction hose, a vacuum hose like I'm using, whatever you want to use. Just get rid of some of the fluid because you're going to compress the piston all the way back, which will push fluid back up into that reservoir, which is what we're doing right now. Just put an old pad back in front of that piston. Use your C-clamp, compress it. If you've got the lid on the brake reservoir, I still keep it on the reservoir. I just don't twist it on. That way the air can escape and it'll go back super easy. All right, man, this is quick. So next we are going to grab our new components. And when I say this is quick, I mean, shoot, I spent a lot of time cleaning, but it still didn't come perfectly clean. I think I'm going to end up replacing these calipers. Possible sponsorship opportunities for anybody watching if you want to hit me up. These new rubber inserts, again, you want to put them in the same way they came out from the back side. Easiest way I found was just like that with the needle nose pliers. Just push them in little by little by little by little all the way through with a little dab of grease on just to help it slide. Once both of them are in there, you're going to go ahead and hang this caliper up by the coilover, the spring, just so it's out of your way and it doesn't fall and break your brake line. You don't want to break the brake line. Grab a rotor, take your pick. There is no left, there is no right. There's just front and rear. So grab it. We're going to open this purty little package. So note on this, some rotors you'll get, they're coated in oil to prevent rust and they'll be all nasty. You need to clean those before you put your pads on. You have to clean them, otherwise your pads will get coated in oil and you won't be able to stop as well. Very not good. These ones actually came dry. There was nothing to really clean off. I still hit it with the brake clean, but just be aware, always clean your rotors, especially if they are oily. You do not want oil between your pad and your rotor. This is based off of friction. You stop by friction, and if you have oil in the mix, then you lose your friction. So this is what I use, just some stuff off the shelf at AutoZone or O'Reilly's, and just clean it all up. Alright, so you're going to put your brake caliper mounting bracket back on. These are your two 21mm bolts. We got the top one, and it doesn't matter which way you do this, top first, bottom first, just get them in there. You have a couple options. You can either torque these down right now. My manual calls for 100 foot-pounds, or you can do them all later at the same time. Up to you. I don't care. I'm not a mechanic. Maybe there's a wrong answer, maybe a right answer. But for me, I did it right then and there. So you've got your old pad versus new pad. So when I said there was still some good meat on these, I didn't realize these new pads have a lot of meat on them. There's a lot of pad there. Holy smokes. These are thick pads, which is good. They last longer. This van has about 127,000 miles. I have no idea if those old ones were original or not. As far as greasing, you can do two options. You can grease the caliper portions, or you can grease the pad portions. I'm going to do this side on the caliper, the other side on the pad to show you the difference. When you grease the caliper portion, essentially you only really get greased what you need greased. If you grease the pad portion, you end up greasing way more of the pad than what actually comes in contact with the caliper, and it's just a waste and a mess, and you got more to clean up. On the outside, I went ahead and greased the pad just to show, and I actually don't think I got a good picture because I'm doing it vertically from above. Whereas if you just grease the caliper, you'd see just those little two pop outs sticking there. It'd be all that were needed to be greased. But anyway, slide the caliper back on, put your bolts back in, torque those to 26 foot-pounds is what my manual says. Check yours. And then this retaining clip, I struggled with this for a long time, and then I finally realized when I did the passenger side, it was so much easier just to do it by hand without tools. It actually clipped right in, no problem. Alright guys, torque everything down, put your tire on, and there's a break-in procedure. Let's go over that now.
So according to the instructions on the box, there is a break-in procedure, and that consists of 30 decelerations from 30 to 5, leaving 30 seconds in between before applications for cooling. That seems like a lot, but we're going to follow their instructions because they wrote them for a reason, and well, we want this to work out, so let's do so. Get up to 30 if you can see with all that glare, and then we'll break down to 5. Go up to 30, hold for 30 seconds, and do it again 30 more times for a total of 30 times. So like right there's 30. We're just gonna hang out at 30 and break down to 5. Put my phone down because there's a cop. So 30 and break down to 5. Obviously, you're going to want a road that does not have a lot of traffic for this. Alright, well, I'm going to do this 28 more times, and I'll be back. Ooh, I forgot to mention, once you put everything back together, you get your tire on, and you torque everything down, you got your lug nuts on, you drop the van back down, turn the van on, and hit the brake pedal a few times while you're still in park. Get out, go look at your brake fluid reservoir and top it off if necessary. You probably will need a little bit topped off depending on how worn your old pads were. So top off your reservoir, very important. My van takes .3, but look at the cap, look in your owner's manual to verify. Once you top off the fluid, again, get back in the van, hit that brake pedal a few times while the van's running, and then take a little test drive.
It's going to be a little bit mushy for your first few stops, so be prepared. Go slow, back out of your driveway, and hit the brake pedal a few times while you're backing out, just to make sure everything's set. Make sure that you don't have something slightly misaligned and it pops off while you're doing a little test, and then take it for your test drive. Do your break-in procedure, which for these was powering up to 30 miles per hour, braking down to 5, and then powering back up to 30, giving a good 30 seconds to cool off, and back down to 5, and you do that 30 times, which is a lot, but that's what they want, so that's what we did. Now that it is done, the front brakes are done, the rears are coming in today, actually maybe while I'm out on this little test drive, and we'll be doing a video on the rears most likely as well. I'm also going to need to replace the calipers. Not going to do it today, obviously, but I'll probably order them here shortly. Otherwise, you're just wasting your money on your freaking rotors and pads, because if your caliper's compressing unevenly, then one pad is going to wear out way faster, as well as one side of the rotor is also going to wear out way faster. So I don't want to redo this again very soon, so I will probably do the calipers here pretty quickly. So stay tuned for that video. Anyway, guys, if you liked what you saw, give me a thumbs up. Whoa, it looked like I was sticking my thumb up my nose right there. If you liked what you saw, give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button to see more. Check out the playlist. There's a whole playlist dedicated to this van. Check out my channel. I got videos on other vehicles, on the house, on home projects, and other people's vehicles. Check them out. Stick around. Leave a comment down below, and we'll see you next time.